covering the hot topics for the NFL. We're going to spend a couple of minutes talking about the NFL and just a couple of things that are being floated around, not only just a rumor mill, but also in the conversation of actual factual. When you're looking at the NFL and some of the biggest news that we've had the last 48 hours, we're going to dive into that as well. But first, we're going to start with the obvious, the thumbnail with Kyler Murray. Kyler Murray is benched, and Kyler Murray is not coming back for the foreseeable future right now because he's not healthy, one. And there's been talk that the offense looks better, essentially with Jacoby Brissett, essentially on the guard as far as the quarterback. When you're thinking about this, the Arizona Cardinals placed Kyler Murray on the injury reserve, and there was no talk of him coming back anytime soon. So that means he's going to have to miss a minimum of 4 games. With Jacoby Brissett playing his 4th straight game, against the Seahawks coming up, the offense looks better. When you're looking at this overall team, the Arizona Cardinals team, since he's taken over at the helm, has been much better offensively. They've been passing more, less turnovers, and more touchdowns. When you think of them having just overall these weapons that we talked about in the offseason of what potentially could happen if Marvin Harrison Jr. has a breakout season or what they do or how they're doing things, it was thought that Kyler Murray was going to extend this offense to make it even more better. Again, when you look at the wide receiver Wilson, his numbers are better with Jacoby Brissett. McBride has more touchdowns in a single stretch than he has the last couple of years with Kyler Murray. With Brissett, you look at Marvin Harrison Jr., his numbers are up, his receptions are up, his targets are up. So everybody on the offense, seemingly under Jacoby Brissett's leadership and tutelage as the backup quarterback, has been getting more targets, more catches, more touchdowns than when they played with Kyler Murray. When you look back at Cliff Kingsbury when he was the head coach, there were several times where they had issues with Kyler as far as staying on track with the plays. Not only going to the right play or going to the right receiver, going to the right tight end, or either getting rid of the ball on the play to the hot read, he was doing a lot of things off the cuff. He was doing a lot of things and getting himself in trouble, doing a lot of things and making himself the center of attention and not really trusting the play call. With that being said, you're looking at the Arizona Cardinals and how they're having to kind of look at everything in a scope now. They've already paid Kyler Murray, and most of that guaranteed money is gone. So if they get rid of him, it's not going to be a big penalty as far as salary cap. When you're looking at Jacoby Brissett, do you trust that he, as a backup guy, can be a better leader than Kyler? The answer is yes. I looked at the coaches tape from a couple other games that Kyler has taken this year and last year. The body language tells it all. When I'm watching the coaches tape and there's no sound at all, you can see literally the body language of Kyler Murray. The disgust in his face, the look at his teammates is just like, when something doesn't go his way, it's just asking the question. Do you trust this guy that you paid millions of dollars to lead? And remember the report and the story about Kyler Murray and his contract, where he had to have it mandatory that he studied a certain amount of hours in his contract. There's questions around the league about Kyler Murray's dedication and also his 1-2 as far as leadership. When you think about it, Kyler Murray is one of the most talented two-way athletes. When you think about him playing baseball, him being drafted in the first round in baseball and being the number 1 overall pick in the NFL, that's talent. But it goes to show you with his size, being undersized, and him not really honing in on his skill set and him not really studying what this is producing. Now, I will say this. I believe that the Arizona Cardinals, after doing this, are looking at what they have in Jacoby Brissett. Even if they don't think he's the long-term quarterback, he could be a bridge quarterback. When you look at Marvin Harrison start to produce, when you look at Wilson start to produce, McBride start to produce, that makes you think, what happens if we give him a long-term deal? What happens if we, set this offense up this way? The coaching staff sees it. Even Marvin Harrison's father spoke out about how he can't watch the games, how he's frustrated with the way the offense looks. So I think Kyler Murray is on his way out of Arizona, and I think that the Jets are going to be his landing spot. The reason being, the Jets have swung and missed at so many different quarterbacks in the NFL draft. Why not use those picks to get positional players? possibly trading one of those picks for Kyler Murray. And I would say you wouldn't send a first to the Arizona Cardinals for Kyler Murray. You would eat most of that contract and you would send a second or a third. A competitive package, but nothing of the first round. I would not give a first round for Kyler Murray. So that's one of those things where, it just, the Arizona Cardinals have a lot to discuss. They have a lot to work with. And when you're thinking about this could be a blessing in disguise for the team. They have so much time to look at another quarterback. They have so much time to see other guys that they normally probably wouldn't have the time to see because Kyler Murray was there. And it's backyard football when Kyler Murray's playing. So at this point, it's ring around the rosy. So moving on, the Jets. There was a lot of talk about from the standpoint of Sauce Gardner, from the standpoint of the Jets. Why would they get rid of Quinnen Williams and why would they get rid of Sauce Gardner in their prime, or basically going into their prime? Well, the defense was regressing. As we saw, they were in limbo. They thought Aaron Rodgers was going to fix things. They thought that bringing him on 2 years ago was going to help and give them some help in the offense. It didn't. Having Breece Hall, having Garrett Wilson, having Devontae Adams, having Lazard, it didn't help. And remember, they went to appease Aaron Rodgers at every turn offensively, and it did not work. It didn't work at all. So I want you to understand and believe and know that, the Jets saw, okay, the Detroit Lions did something like this. Let's do this. Well, they turned over everything. They swapped quarterbacks from Matthew Stafford for Jared Goff, and then the rest were picks. When you look at Laporta, Pro Bowl tight end. When you look at Jahmyr Gibbs, Pro Bowl running back. When you look at the offenses, Pro Bowlers everywhere. And you got Penny Sewell in the mix of that, offensive line. So a lot of these things that you're seeing, the Jets saw the writing on the wall, and the Jets said, you know what, let's get rid of this salary cap. We're already going to lose. We're already going to have a higher draft pick. Let's go ahead and try to make it easier on ourselves. And they no longer have those key pieces. In a league where you don't really have a lot of time, Aaron Glenn probably said, let's blow this thing up. I got Justin Fields, and that didn't work out. That was a bad decision. Is it starting to look out? So they just got rid of everything. For the most part, Justin Fields can be traded or either let go after this year, and it's not going to hurt them. He was signed to basically a 1-year deal. It's a 2-year deal, but it was heavy on the first year. So he got the signing bonus and stuff like that, so they can move that salary to either get rid of him quickly. Miami Dolphins. Miami Dolphins are another target. I'm wondering why they didn't make big splashes to lower their salary cap. But the Miami Dolphins have a lot of pieces that are going to be moving and shifting next year. They've already got rid of Jalen Ramsey, Sanu. There's talk of if they'll get rid of Tyreek Hill, Cheetah, next season probably. Tua probably has entered itself into the conversation to the trade department. And they're going to clean house. They've already fired their general manager, and they possibly agreed to disagree to go ahead and leave. So you're looking at the Dolphins, and you're looking at the Dolphins saying they're going to hit the reset button as well. The Miami Dolphins is going to be a prime destination because this area of South Florida, the weather, the competitive pay advantage, having a coach there that knows how to coach football, that's what's going to build well from them. But I think you're going to be in the same situation as the Jets if you don't make better picks, if you don't have a leader in the locker room that's going to help. That's what it boils down to. So I think that Miami has so much on their plate when you're thinking just overall of, what's the new direction? I know Tua is your quarterback currently, but who's going to be the quarterback that leads you further? When you're talking about Tua, can he stay healthy? Is he going to be a guy that's going to stop making excuses and actually play good football? That's where they're at. That's where they truly are at. And then you have to also look at the division with the Bills and the Patriots getting better. The Jets are on the mend, and they're looking to get better as well. But when you look at Miami, they're at the bottom. How did they climb out of the AFC East cellar with all this tied up money, all this tied up cap, all these things? Who's going to be able to reinvigorate that locker room? It won't be Tua. It won't be Tua. But The biggest thing, I think that there are several teams this offseason that are going to unload salary, and they're going to unload leaders that we know who are there. But I think that, it's tough. It's tough. This NFL season has given us a lot of stuff. The trade deadline has given us a lot of stuff. And it's just to a point where you got to hedge your bets, figure out where you fit in. So I'm surprised the Eagles didn't do more at the trade deadline. I thought they was possibly going to trade A.J. Brown after he's been disgruntled for the last couple of weeks. But, you never know. But until next time, folks, we're going to be talking about NFL more and more this week. Definitely leave your comments here on the video. The things you want to discuss, things you want to talk about, any topics, any questions, and definitely check out Sports Trades Plus. I'll see you on the very next episode.